Hey, thanks to everybody for coming out today and this morning. We're here, got an action-packed day with a whole bunch of stuff we're going to want to cover, so I'm going to keep my remarks brief. You know, the Northern District for Hunter Education is the largest district we have in the state. We've got over 300 instructors. Obviously, by the room being full here, we can see that we've got an active participation of y'all. And as you know, and you've heard me say in years past, we couldn't do this without you. It's just not possible. The amount of classes that you all put on in the Northern Enforcement District, as well as the amount of students that you run through, there's no way that we could cover that inside the department. So thank you for what you do, carrying on that tradition that we want desperately to keep alive in California. And we know that we're struggling to do that. So it's important that you continue to work with us and the work that we do moving forward to keep hunting alive in California. I think Captain Pelsman's going to talk about it later, but yesterday the department issued our R3 plan, went out public yesterday. So that's the recruit, retain, reactivate plan of trying to get hunters and anglers back into the outdoors. If either they're not there or they've left or for whatever reason, try to increase participation in the outdoors and in hunting, shooting sports, and angling. So I'd invite you to take a look at that plan. It'll be out, you can find it, it'll be on the department's website. Pretty lengthy document. A lot of you in the room were actually participatory to the creation of that document, and I thank you for that. But take a look at it because it's an important part of the work that you all do with us and kind of shows the trajectory of what the department's trying to do, as well as every other state department across the United States is working on as well, is to try to keep the traditions of hunting alive. California's a little bit different than a lot of the other states in the nation. There's a lot of things going on in California, both politically and socially, that sometimes create an intersection and a collision of issues that make that difficult and challenging. And I thank you for your effort in helping us continue to move that hunting tradition forward. I think this year, if I got my stats right, we ran about 6,000 students, 6,300 students almost through Hunter Ed classes last year. That's a lot. So I encourage you to continue doing the great work that you're doing. Thanks to the people in the Hunter Ed program. Up behind me here, you're going to have Christy and Dan come up. Dan over the Hunter Ed program. Robert, of course, the captain, all the lieutenant specialists that work in the program, the staff behind the scenes, Fom, Mike, Bill, Jake, all the people that work in the department that are the kind of the machine behind the program that keep it all flowing, as well as, there's a whole bunch of game wardens here in the room today. Every game warden in the state is a hunter education instructor. They all do their part as well throughout the year, helping you all or teaching their own classes. Thanks to you guys and gals for doing that as well. That's an important part of keeping it going. I think about 8,700 hours of donated time from y'all last year. That's just tremendous, 8,700 hours, right? Think about how many employees we'd have to be able to pull that off. That's a lot of game wardens out of the field not doing what they need to be doing out enforcing the statutes and regulations, right? So it goes back to what I said about not being able to pull it off without y'all's help. So really, truly appreciate that. Liz, thanks to you. Like she just said, 10 months in, 2 conferences. She's certified 53 new instructors since she's been in the position. 53? That's pretty impressive, right? So, thanks, Liz, doing a great job. So, I'll get off the mic here. I'm going to be here If you like, come up, introduce yourself. A lot of folks here already know me. Come up and chat, and we'll swap a story or two. Thank you so much, and let's enjoy the day. Appreciate it.
The chief would like to say a few more words.
What do we do now? We're in trouble.
No, you're not in trouble. Chief's getting old. Can't remember what the hell I was supposed to say this morning. So, I had the benefit yesterday of having a meeting with the California Hunting Coalition. Executive staff from the department meets with this group. I think it's quarterly. And it's a group, it's a coalition of organizations that are essentially in alignment with conservation and protection of natural resources, as well as keeping the hunting traditions alive, right? There's a lot of folks here in the room that are part of that coalition. They were at the meeting yesterday. We had a presentation yesterday from Dr. Brandon Monk, who is our lead on CWD, right, chronic wasting disease. And I know Brandon's come and spoke to you all before in the past. So, because that was just fresh in my mind from the meeting yesterday, I wanted to put out to you all that in your classes, moving forward, if you don't have the subject matter material, reach out to your coordinator and we'll get it for you. But I'd like to start talking about CWD in these classes, right? It's super important. We don't have it here. We don't want it here, right? It's made its way into, obviously, Rocky Mountain states. We've still got some border protection with Nevada. But every time we run one of these checkpoints coming into the state, every single time we'll have violations of people still bringing stuff in, right? And I was just relating a story yesterday at the meeting to a group where I had just taken a couple heated phone calls from a gentleman who had been issued a citation at the checkpoint in Truckee because he came through and he was in violation. And he had said, hey, I've been going out of state hunting for years. I never even knew about this law. He was mad that the warden didn't give him a warning. I pretty much told law enforcement, you know, it's been going on long enough. People need to get with the program. This is serious. We need to put our foot down about it and get people to comply with the law. So, worked through my conversation with this gentleman and the importance of keeping it out, but I think we really need, the department needs your help, because you impact a lot of people, and especially people coming into it new or re-entering, you know, whatever it might be through the R3 program, to be able to speak to them about chronic wasting disease, the importance of it, the importance of following the regulations, understanding the regulations, and understanding their part in keeping it out of this state. If that stuff makes it into this state, it's going to decimate, you know, populations of wildlife, and we don't want that. So I wanted to say that earlier. I forgot, so I just wanted to jump back up and say that if you need any help with any materials or any information from that, reach out to your coordinator. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to start off by thanking you all for being here, and I really enjoyed my conversations with a lot of you this morning and finding out where you're teaching, what different programs you're involved in. I was super excited to hear about the instructors that are involved with the trap shooting in high school. That was really fun conversation, so thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal connection to hunter ed and hunter safety. In the very early 80s, I took a hunter education class because my grandfather and my dad would take my brothers and I hunting and fishing. But because of that, I'm standing here. I took this career, and I one day realized the connection of hunter education and why I chose my career. So all of you are responsible for that. So thank you, because it's been a wonderful career. I appreciate it. So I just want to encourage you, and I'm going to wrap up here really quick because you're going to hear a lot of conversations and discussions today from all of us. But I'm just going to wrap up, and I just, from my heart, want to thank you and remind you of the impact that you have on students, young and old, in what you do. And I can't say thank you enough. And Liz, great job with this. I know how much work it is. So please take the time. There's a lot of wardens in the back, and most of them are from Northern Enforcement District. And that's, I'm sorry, I didn't even tell you who I was and where I work. I am Christy Worster, and I'm the Assistant Chief for the Northern Enforcement District. So most of the wardens that are standing in the back of the room in uniform work in the Northern Enforcement District, so please take the time to introduce yourself to them and ask them questions and remind them when your classes are and how much you would enjoy having them in your classes. Because we want them in there because it's an important part and an important role. So thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody. Most of you folks that have been around the program for a long time probably remember me as Lieutenant Dan when I ran the advanced program. So I've been back in the unit almost a year now, and I'm very proud of being back in the unit. This is where my heart is, passing on this tradition. And I want to thank all of you folks for your dedication and all the time you donate to pass this tradition on so we can keep hunting alive. And just from the stats that you heard today, you're doing a fantastic job. I'd also like to thank Chief Bess and Assistant Chief Worster for being here today, showing their support for the program. Chief Bess is a big supporter of the Hunter Ed program, so we're very lucky to have him as our chief. I'd like to thank the wardens that came here today in the back, and please go talk to them today. And if I could have all the biologists that are Hunter Ed instructors stand up, because we have those also in the crowd. I know there's a few other ones. I want to thank you folks for what you've done and taking this on, because it is not part of your job description like it is for the law enforcement division. So with that, thank you again, everybody.